Hello, and welcome back to the next installment of making mannequin heads into planters. It's a very serious thing. It is not. So where we ended up was doing the hair on this little one, and I think it came out pretty awesome. Let me focus. Oh, there it is. Look at that. That's pretty cool, huh? Covers up. Scraggles, I don't care because I'll be putting soil in there. Nothing's going to be pulling out. I think she looks pretty freaking cool. So one of the things I'm going to be doing eventually is thinking about painting her and what I want to do with painting her. Sorry, I've got a knot in her hair. Oh no, not that. But I want to end up painting her face, I think. I've been looking for Flexstone spray paint, and the local box store is apparently not carrying it. They can't get it. I don't know what the deal is, but they don't have it, and they haven't had it for quite a while. I can order it online for $30 a can. I don't think I'm going to be doing that. So anyway, so Lee is weed whacking right outside, so you'll hear that pleasant sound for a little while. Anyway, so the last thing I want to do on her before I end up, figuring out what to do to paint her is I am going to color her hair. So there's a couple things I want to experiment with, and I thought you might get a kick out of experimenting with me. I just realized I don't have any paper towels right here, but I want to have paper towels so that I can clean my hands for the second way of doing it. First way we're doing it, we're gonna try out. Second way are markers. Second way is paints. So, word to the wise, if you are an artist and you haven't figured this out yet, samples at the big box stores are not cheap. But samples at the big box stores that are on the oops table are cheap. You can find them almost always where they screw up like the machine will mess up while they're doing it. It squirts over the side or something like that. It doesn't match. They can't get it to match, but somebody wants a sample of a color that they're trying to color match. Well, they sell them for $1 or $2. And this is a lot of paint for $1 or $2. Now, the quality of paint is not spectacular, but if you're not doing oil painting and you just want a regular old latex paint in funky, take your pick colors, this is the way to go. Each big box store will have one of those, usually will have one of those oops. I know Lowe's always does. I found that out when I was working at Lowe's and I was working at the paint counter, and I was just like, why do we have gallons of paint that are normally $40 for $5? Why would I not use this if it's close to the brown and I don't care? Or if I'm painting a big painting, I do paintings large scale, like 4 foot by 4 foot, right? You may have seen some of my artwork. So 3 foot by, whatever. That takes a lot of paint. It takes significant amounts of paint. And what's beautiful is I can, if I want to, I can get a jug of this and spend the full price on a jug of this, a little jug of this, and spend a heck of a lot less than spending paint on at a like a low grade thicker paint at an art store. However, I do go to the art stores. Any local art stores, if you're out there, if they are out there, always go to them first. Do not, even if they're a little bit more expensive, do not save the money by going to a mainline one if you have the option of going to a local art store for art supplies. Support them. They're there to support you, and I really believe in shopping local if at all possible, right? I know I talk a lot about box store this, box store that, I can get it here, I can get it there, or online, but it's only because they're just not available right around me. If something is available around me, get it right around you. Support the people who are working right around you. It's a way to impact their lives immediately around you. That's just my opinion. Take it, leave it. Don't leave it. Anyway, so word of the wise, great source of paint. May not be the exact color. Mix it to the exact color that you want. All right, And you may get some cool colors that you've never thought of like buying because it was $1. And you'll end up going, oh, this is kind of cool, or oh gosh, this is terrible. I need to add blah, blah, blah in order to mix my paints, right? All right, so anyway, moving on. Markers, permanent markers. Kaleidoscope, I got this big old pack of them for Lee for his birthday or Christmas one year. And he uses them all the time. He does mark making, I think it's called, block printing. He does fabulous work. You'll see the one of himself right here behind me. See it? I can't do this. There it is. Yeah, so that one is his. He does these cool prints that are just really awesome. He does block printing, he does multimedia, he does just incredible work. I mean, it's really stunning stuff. And some of his paper cuts that are paper cut plus block printing, you can sit there and literally stare at them. My mom has sat there and gone, wait, and I've done the same thing. Or I sit there going, so how many layers, and did you weave that, or was that printed and like layered and printed, or because the symmetry, the way he does it, you can just sort of be drawn right into the pictures. They're absolutely stunning. They're really, really gorgeous. He does sell them, so look him up, and you can see some of his art. And we'll start going to art fairs again and having our stuff there. I do the retro totes, which are they're basically like shopping bags, canvas bags. They're not made out of canvas though. I use them, I make them hand sew every single bag. It's about 12 by 12 or 14 by 14 bag with a handle. The fabric is all reclaimed fabric from upholstery stores that they would normally be throwing out. They're the samples. And then I laminate and glue on and sew on actual LP covers, front and back. And I can do magazines. I've done sheet music, which is actually really cool. I've done magazines from like the 40s that I laminate them and put them on these bags. And the wacky fabrics, gorgeous, like silks and stuff like this, you know, upholstery fabrics. And so I sell those at what do you call it, at craft fairs and things like that. And now that they're starting back up, we can start doing them again. Very exciting. So I'm gonna choose colors for her hair, and I'm not sure which color. I want something that's similar to this because I do like the darker streaks of the blue with the orange. So I want to continue that and not go completely outside that. So I've got orange. Set it down. I've got sort of a redder orange. It's a little bit darker if you see the contrast. And then I'm going to go with blue and purple. Purple and blue and a lighter blue. And I think that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to go into yellows or anything like that because she is really just orange and blue, and we'll see what sort of accenting we do with her. Depends on if I want to go creepy or if I want to go cute. That's how I'll determine the rest of that. So now, how do you get this on the hair? It's actually really easy. I've done this actually to my own hair in the past, and before Sharpies were really easily gotten, but you can get the really cool silver ones. If you've ever seen the metallic ones, they're awesome. I had longer hair and just take it and go, and you can put streaks in your hair, and it's semi-permanent. So I'm gonna draw it literally onto the hair. Now, I don't want to lay it down. I want to go in at an angle, so you can actually see what I'm doing, and go down and through. If I lay it on, it gets weird, like it'll get a patchy here and there, and then you fluff it. So you get a streak in the hair. You can do this in your own hair. It's actually really freaking cool. If you ever need to take it out of your hair, or you want to redo these, does anybody know? Raise your hand if you know how to get this ink out. Alcohol, rubbing alcohol will get it out of your hair, and it will then need to be conditioned because it's rubbing alcohol. So that's how you get these. You can use these kinds of markers and use rubbing alcohol that makes really cool effects. You shellac it and it goes really well. So I'm not going to do too many streaks, but I am going to get right down in there to the root and then come up and around. And then I want to go in here where I've got a lot of white hair, bring that orange into the hair there. I want to emphasize the streak up that it has here. That looks cool. And then you'll see that I've got a lot of white hair here. So I've just introduced it in the front as another color that's in her hair. And I don't want to be symmetrical. I want it to look random. I'm gonna put it on the braid that goes across. And as I go around, I want it to emphasize the directions that it's going. So if you go across, then it looks like you went across with it with the pen. But if you go down and through and along the lines of the hair, it's going to pull strands with it, and you will be putting specific. I'm going to pull out this one. You can take your thumb, twirl, get a clump out, twirl it. Now you use the side of it and take it through. What you're going to do is then, when you put it down, just like when you're streaking hair, like we did all the time with the bleaching in the 80s. Thank you, Mom and Shawnee and Terry. So then you've got a streak that goes down. Haha, yes, this is how you do it. And so I want to take a few strands here, take it with my thumb. You can curl it around it if you want to. You can do whatever you want. This is just an easy way to do it. Remember, this is going to be outside. It does not need to be perfect. So just drawing the lines of where the hair already is. It's going to change as it's outside, being weathered, as there's wind, as there's critters, squirrels and chipmunks and things who take interest in it. And who knows what that'll happen with that. And I'm not going to do too many streaks back here just because the hair is so cool and it's so curly that I want to, it's feathered out. I want to twirl it, and I'm going to take it from as far in as I can get and then just run it lightly along. I want the colors to be there, but I also want that really pretty white to be there along the way. Da da da. So the song keeps going through my head every time I work on this. There we go. Oh yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. Get some underneath the shorter ones. There we go. I don't want too much because I want them to continue to be streaks, like I said. And this one did not take very much. So I'm going to do this one again. This is a larger clump, but I want more in the actual hair. So it becomes a streak. Because otherwise it just then becomes, oh, there's orange on the hair. Yeah, I don't want that. So I'm going to take the other orange. I don't want this to be too technicolor. And I'm going to take the lighter orange and go in with it because it's a little yellowy. But it'll emphasize it a little bit more. I want it to get all the way up at the top. Another strand here. That strand's coming from in here. Draw it right up and through. That way you get to see that the white is coming across. I know I'm spending a lot of time on her hair, but you know what? When you have the good hair like this, use it, emphasize it. Let's get this strand so it'll be more prominent, separate it out. Get more ink on there from this marker. There we go. So I'm getting it on my thumb, but you already know the way to get it off your thumb too. What is it, class? Yes, rubbing alcohol. So, I know, sorry, dork moment. This actually I kind of like, not running it along my finger. Being able to sort of paint it on just certain strands is kind of cool. Because I'm really getting it on my hands now. But that actually works beautifully. Learning as we go. So there's the orange. No more of that. Got these blues. I want to do just the dark blue. I was thinking I'd do light blue and a purple, but I think I just want to stick with the blue. Otherwise we're going to get kind of a little too funky. So I'm going to work on the front. Just bringing more where it's already blue, making a little bit more blue. There we go, brightening it up. Bringing it back. There we go. So as this weathers, one of the things to keep in mind is that this is going to dull significantly as well. So I've got a section here that I like the blue, but I want it more. So if you put it on really boldly right now, fear not, it will not always be Technicolor. Probably the first or the second rain, and it will suddenly be much less blue. All right, let's get this on the end. Painting with permanent markers. So, and then these markers are literally the ones that are the Sharpie permanent markers. So what I'm going to do is, it came in orange from that side, so I'm going to do blue on this side. Yes, there's rhyme and reason to what I'm doing. That's not as often as you might imagine. Just kidding. Not nearly as often as you might imagine. And you probably can imagine that it's not that often with me. But I do have a methodology. Usually what I'm doing, even though I'm very organic in the process of what I'm doing, as I figure out what I want to do. But I'm always open to sort of, oh, well, that didn't work. How do we pivot? How do we move to a different way of approaching this or doing this? So I'm not even going to use the paints, even though I did my great introduction of where to get great paints. Oh, there we go. Oh, I like that. Yes, thank you. Just going to put a couple streaks in here underneath. I'm going to pull hair from underneath. And instead of it all being on top, I'm actually going to do the paint on little option that I just started doing. I kind of do like that. There we go. Make sure it's not like super blotchy. I don't want it to look like crappy. I want it to look cool and fun and intentional-ish, and yet still, oh, I've got streaks in my hair. They just happen to be falling in all these places strategically. And yet they're just randomized. You know, that sort of thing. Good balance, good symmetry. Even on a mannequin head will go a long way. So let's get this clump from way underneath. These might be the ones that, when you get really long hair, I can imagine that getting really long hair and doing this on really long hair would probably not work that well. This one I'm going to twist. There we go. So it gives it a little bit more to pull against. Do this better so you can see. Hopefully you can not really see what I'm doing. Sorry, my hand's in the way. There you go. I'm one of those guys. And then you do it this way, and then my hand's totally in the way for you to be able to see what I'm doing. All right, come on. Oh, there we go. It's getting more even. Bring it down. Brick down now. All right, very cool. Let's see if I can do a little twisty twist. Hold that, bring it through. There we go. All right, it's coming. Oh, she's got a little snarl at the end. Not that I really care. It's just kind of funny that it gets the thing sucked. There we go. Look at that. Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah. Do another one on the other side. And I'm almost out of time. I will not work on these when I'm not with you guys. So you get to see the whole thing. So I did talk about that I want to also do something with the hair of this one here that you guys have seen before, that we cut the head off of and pulled out the brains, the innards of the cranium. That's a really fabulous one with the natural hair. So I want to do something with it, but I don't want to color it. I don't want to mess with it. I may trim it just to give it a certain look, but I think I'm going to do similar to this with the crown look. There we go. Got one down the center, one on the side of the blue, and that's enough streaking for me. I'm good with that. She came out in the front. Oops, not very good lighting. It's actually pretty cool. I kind of like it. It's got some contrast. It's fun in the back. I don't need much more than that. All right. Oopsies. So she's done hair-wise, but set her right here because she looks so good. Not that you can even see her now. There she is. So what I'm going to do with this is I think I'm going to do this over the top thing. So I'd be taking it over the top in a little bit more of a stylized, I could even do braids if I wanted to, but I think it's gonna, because it's so thin through here, I think braids would not give me like a full look. So I'm wondering, I've seen, and I don't remember where I saw it, I saw a video where it was a trend where you had the bump thing on the top, ladies. I'm not gonna say anything. My face should have told you what I thought of that. And it was when we were living in the Midwest, so it was a little while ago, it was a number of years ago. So this, I'm thinking, bring it up, bring the next one up, let this one come down, almost like a platypusing? And then sort of, and glue it to the edge so that it stays up and with body. Because I think that would be kind of cool. Instead of just because there's no like difference in the colors like hers had, so you could see that streaking. And I don't want to do anything really to this, but color-wise. So I could bring it up. I mean, I could do it where I bring it up and then I bring up the next group of it, let this come down, next group of it, let it be poofy, a little bit poofy. So what I was talking about with the bumpy thing though, that was a fad for a while, number of years ago, was that they would take, there was something that you put like, so here you go, right on top of the head, and then the hair went all up on top of it. It was like pinched behind it or something, or it was like a foam piece or something like that, right? So God knows I have foam pieces and scalp pieces and whatever pieces of heads in here. I'm gonna keep her scalp piece. So I'm thinking maybe I could do like a little roll of something. I have foam insulation that goes around like windows. If you've got a gap between the frame of a window and a wall, they have these foam, they're like snakes, basically. They're not tubes because they're not hollow, but they're solid and they're like a snake, a long snake. And I'm sure there's a name for it. But anyway, so I've got them in different thicknesses because I did some really cool masks, which there used to be one down here. I'm sure there's one over in the corner. For Halloween a number of years ago, that were these really crazy, really cool, spiky and long dreads that looked sort of like a alien type of thing, okay? And they were masks that I bought, and then I added all this with a hat and things like that. So I'm thinking I could take one of those tubes, maybe the thicker tube, glue it right along the edge, and then bring the hair, well, maybe even bring the hair around it, wrap the hair around it, dee around this top, and give it sort of that edge to hide that rough top. So what it would do is it would bring it up and around, just like I did on the other one, but give it body in the front so that it would have a lip and then come back down and in of just hair. Because there's tons of hair here to work with, lengthwise. It may not be very thick, but at least it's long. So a lot of options. But so the reason I want to do that is because I don't want it to be cousin it anymore. I do want it to be able to see the face. And that would be sort of that classic curled look. But I've got to do it in a way, I can't just like curl the hair and then assume that it's going to stay there. As soon as the weather hits, it's going to all flatten, right? So I've got to do it in a way that's sort of more permanent. So it's almost like putting it around my finger and then back down and around. And then the next clump come further around that tube, and then here. And that way it would stay, isn't that cool? It would stay there, and it would be wrapped around in the back around the edge to soften that edge. And then I'm just gonna spray paint the inside or hand paint the inside. So I'll do that in the next one. I'm gonna experiment. I'm gonna find, because I do still have some of the tubing, or whatever, it's not tubing, the snake stuff, the insulation, and that will be, and you can see this is what happens when you put permanent marker on hair. And I'll do that for my next installment of how to make mannequin heads into planters. I hope you're enjoying these, and shout out to everybody who has mentioned them. Hi Lynn, I hope you're enjoying them. I know your husband, with whom I work, thinks I'm a complete nut for doing this, but I hope you appreciate the artistry of what we're working through. All right, and I just hope I inspire you to think outside the box, have fun with stuff, and be wacky. Be wacky. Bye.